Hey guys, it's Derek again. We are here at the intersection of Spring Street, West Street, and Chambersburg Street. Here, not right beside the Gettysburg Plaza, and not too far from the Gettysburg Post Office. And the monument that you see in front of us today represents the 26th Pennsylvania Emergency Militia. Now, they were part of the Department of Susquehanna, which was raised in the response to General Lee's invasion of the North. The department itself was in command by Major General Darius Couch. Couch, who was the former commander of the 2nd Corps in the Army of the Potomac. He was actually in command of the Corps, who was part of the Right Grand Division of General Burnside's army at the Battle of Fredericksburg, and his corps actually suffered heavy casualties from the disastrous frontal assaults at Murray's Heights. Now, after the Army was reorganized, once Hooker took over, he was still in command of the 2nd Corps, and in fact, actually, after the devastating flank attack by Stonewall Jackson on the 11th Corps at the Battle of Chancellorsville, Couch actually became essentially commander of the Army of the Potomac when Hooker became incapacitated by a shell hitting a post that he was leaning up against. After Chancellorsville, Couch was eager for a transfer. He actually criticized Hooker's performance, and he was transferred to be in command of the Department of Susquehanna. There was actually a fort located in Lemoyne on the other side of the river from Harrisburg called Fort Couch. Now, the 26th Pennsylvania was mustered in on June 22nd of 1863 with 743 men and officers on the roster. They didn't waste any time because by June 25th, they were in Gettysburg. They were under the command of Colonel William Jennings. When they arrived at Gettysburg, they were joined by Samuel Randall's Philadelphia Cavalry, and Robert Bell's Adams County Cavalry. Overall command of the entire force would be by Major Granville Haller. Now, leaving some rear guard to guard the town, Bell and Jennings actually went west of town along the Chambersburg Pike, and they would actually post at Marsh Creek, which is some 600 or so yards away from where Marcellus Jones, who would fire the first shot in only a few days' time. In fact, Jones claims that the person he fired the shot from was crossing the bridge along Marsh Creek. Now, they stayed there on the morning of June 26th, and as we talked in our last video, General Early was actually on his way to Gettysburg, ordered by General Ewell to go through Gettysburg, get some supplies, and then move on his way to York. Now, on that morning, Early burned the Caledonia Furnace on his way to Gettysburg. Well, that morning, it was raining. It was light rain. So most of Bell and Jennings' men had pitched tents along their position. Now, they had advanced pickets about 200 yards up above that area, farther west, I should say, around where the A&A Salvage Company is now along Chambersburg Pike. So, Early's men are coming, and while Early's men is coming, he decided to split his force, send some of his men north, and keep Gordon's brigade and elements of White's 35th Virginia Cavalry along the Chambersburg Pike. It was close to about between 1,900 and 2,000 men in total that stayed along Chambersburg Pike. As they advanced, a battalion of the 35th Virginia led the column and came within sight of the pickets. As soon as they were sighted, they broke camp. Bell and Jennings broke camp, and they moved. They left. They retreated from their position. Not one shot was fired. Supposedly, one man was injured from their company. He was actually run over by a horse. But during the exchange, around 36 men were taken prisoners. Jennings retreated north, and Bell would move back towards Gettysburg. He actually gathered he had around 50 men. They gathered around Rock Creek, around today's Hanover Street, ordered the men home. They split up. There was actually some action south of town, but we're going to talk about that in another video. Meanwhile, White's cavalry raided the town. Prisoners were placed in the courthouse. And north of town, while Jennings is running, they actually made it to the Mummersburg Road, and they kept on retreating before they finally decided to stop where today's Table Rock and Goldenville Road meet. And they stopped, but they formed at what was known as the Whitmer Farm at that time. Well, it wasn't long that they found out that they were being followed. French's 17th Virginia Cavalry was actually right behind them. They traded shots. Some men were wounded and killed, but eventually 100 more men were taken prisoner at the farm. They were actually held at the farm for several hours. After that exchange, Jennings' men further retreated, and eventually they were on their way back to Harrisburg. They didn't reach Harrisburg till the 28th of June after constant marching. While this is going on, General Early gave the prisoners that were held in the courthouse a big tongue lashing, saying that they should be at home, tending their farms, and all that. He locked them back in the courthouse, and they raided their shops in town before continuing on to York. The prisoners would eventually be furloughed, let go, and all that stuff without any hassle. But during this whole exchange, south of town, there was one man who would be shot and killed, and would be considered the very first federal casualty taken in the Gettysburg area. But that is a story for another time.